Elohim, Yisrael, Yehonathan Dawid with you here once again, humbly so, what they call the 3rd of July, 2022. Shalom Elohim, peace be on you. No intro today. Ain't got time for all that again. So get your pen and your paper ready because there's too many scriptures to go into. Mashiach HaShakar HaShakari, Part 2. And really the subtitle is The Death of the Law. The Death of the Law. Now don't run because the ox said death of the law. Well, you're going to learn the proper labeling of this word law. Remember, we're speaking the language of slavery. English, the language I'm speaking and the language you know, you got it from slavery. Okay, remember that. It's a language of slavery, comes from the English, which they call themselves Angles. The original term they call themselves are Angles. And we're speaking Anglish. And what is an angle? A deviation from the line. So it's a deviant language of slavery designed to lead you to lies. Alright? So we're going to learn the true meaning of law today and of this false Messiah. Now, just one quick thing I'm going to have to say about today's news. That it's a damned shame when a woman has to define freedom, her freedom and equal rights to man by her abilities to kill an unborn innocent child. I want to say that and leave it right there. That doesn't define your freedom and your equality by you having the ability, the legal ability to murder an innocent unborn child. Now, moving on. Last week, talking about this false Messiah. Remember, the whole thing about deception has nothing to do about the anti-Messiah deceiving the world, about Hasatan actually, because the anti-Messiah works for him. Deceiving the world. He already has the world. As long as they can go to the game, beer is cheap, the gas is cheap, doesn't matter. As long as the paychecks don't bounce, they are fine. The whole game of deception is against Yahweh's people. It has nothing to do with the world. The goal is to deceive Yahweh's people. So you keep that in mind, you'll see what this deception is. So that'll help you to see it. And everything Hasatan does has to mimic what is true and what is right. So we know what is going to happen is you're going to have an anti-Messiah. So that means the anti-Messiah is going to have an anti-Messiah. Make sense? He's got to copy what is right. You have Hamashiach ben Dawid, the true Messiah, the true Messiah, and then there's going to be an anti-Messiah. Well, then the anti-Messiah's got to have his too. Just like Yahweh has his people, Hasatan has his people. Yahweh has his land, Hasatan has his land. Yahweh has his anointed one, which is the Messiah. Hasatan's going to have his anointed one, his Messiah. Yahweh has a prophet, Hasatan has his prophet. It's a mirror. And it has to look exactly like the real, the authentic, the real McCoy, if you will. Remember that. Now, talking about this, we talked about how each of us are going to have to encounter our Sea of Reeds, Red Sea, if you will, where we're going to be before the Red Sea and the Egyptians coming on to us strong to kill us. And we're going to have faith in Yahweh as the only one that can deliver us. We have no weapons. We have a sea in front of us, an impassable sea. We have oncoming Egyptians and no way out. Each one of us are going to be faced with that. And it's going to mean only Yahweh can get you out. That way only He can get the credit for when you are delivered. And each one of us are going to be faced with the choice of eat. Eat from this tree and don't eat from that tree. We're all going to be presented by Hasatan with the choice. And Yahweh Shua made it simple for us so we don't get confused. It was simple for Eve, but she still was deceived. One thing. Eat from this tree and not the other. One thing. Not 613 things. One thing. And she got deceived. You think Hasatan, who deceived 1/3 of the heavenly host, is not able to deceive you? There's only one way not to be deceived. Stay tuned. Now, one of the things about this word law that comes from the language of slavery that'll help you to understand more of what is meant by the ruach of it, the spirit of it, is that it is a tutor. Shaul told us this in Galatians 3:23 and 24. It's a tutor. That's a softer sounding than you have the piano teacher come in to teach you the law of playing the piano, or is she tutoring you? Either way, she's teaching you the law of how to make the chords. Either way, that's the law of how to make C sharp. There's no other C sharp but one way to make C sharp. And that's the law of it. Or is she tutoring you how to make the C sharp? Same thing, but the labeling is more conducive to understanding. We understand that the law is instructions, and it is instructions of love. Yahweh Shua said that in all of the book it speaks to him. Galatians 1:20, Shaul says everything comes through Yahweh Shua. I told you, get your pen and paper. The one who cannot be deceived is the one who realizes that everything, if you cannot read this book and connect Yahweh Shua to it, you have some learning. There's a learning gap in there for you. You must be able to see Yahweh Shua in everything that you study. It all points to him, and it all goes through him, which reconciles us to his Father, Yahweh. 1 John 4 and 8. We're talking about the correct reception in your brain. When someone says the word tree, a certain image comes into your brain. When someone says car, a certain image comes into your brain. If someone says car, you're not going to think of a giraffe. You're not going to think of balloons. If someone says tree, you're not going to think of a desk, a work desk. And when someone says law, you should not be thinking of 2 stone tablets from the 10 Commandments coming from Mount Sinai. Because the law, as you keep calling the Torah, which Torah means instructions, is love. And it's the love of Yahweh. 1 John 4:8, Yakanan says that Yahweh is love. That means the law, the Torah, is love. If Yahweh is love, then we need to know what love is. One of the things I had said last week, and I don't think I really explained it well, I'm going to try it again. And let me give a scripture here. I'm going to see if we can replace, since we know that Yahweh Shua is love, and Yahweh Shua gave us the Torah is love. Let's see if we can interchange these words to get a better understanding. Let's go start at Genesis 26 and 5. In Genesis 26 and 5, talking about Abraham, this is Yahweh Shua speaking about Abraham. He says that Abraham observed my voice and my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. In other words, Yahweh said about Abraham was that he observed my love, my statutes, my Yahweh Shua, my son. He observed the law of love. He observed the love of my son in faith. You know, Hebrews says this is all in faith. This is way before Yahweh Shua. So if you look at it, that Abraham loved Yahweh so much that he was willing to sacrifice his own son to stay in good stead with Yahweh. His hand was coming across his son's throat with the knife. His hand was moving across the throat of his son before the Malach stopped him. That's love. That's love. And that's what Yahweh said. Let's try another example. Exodus 25 and 22. Exodus 25 and 22. And it reads, "And there I will meet with you, and I will speak with you from above the mercy seat." This is Yahweh again, Yahweh Shua talking. "From between the two cherubim, which are in the ark of the testimony, about everything which I will give you in commandments to the children of Israel." So since we know that Yahweh is love, that the commandments are love, given to us in love, let's change this word commandments. That I will give you the testimony, everything which I will give to you in love to the children of Israel. You see, when you take that strong, offensive word commandment out and you put in, I will give you the love, my love, to the children of Israel. Isn't that more receptive? Isn't that more entreating and understanding and receiving when you put in, when you relabel this word commandment? Just changing the word with a more accurate meaning. You can do the same thing with Yahweh Shua's name. Let's go to Exodus 20 and 6. Give another example. I'm trying to put it in your head because we're coming to something about this false Messiah. So I'm going to say some things, as we always do here, shocking to you. Exodus 20 and 6. "But showing mercy to thousands of those that love me and keep my love." Keep my love. Or you want to say keep my 613. We'll talk about that number too. Exodus 18, 16 and 20. Exodus 18, 16. "Then it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there was thunderings and lightnings and thick clouds in the mountains." And 16, and it reads, "When they have a difficulty, they come to me." This is Moshe talking to Jethro. "When they have a difficulty, they come to me, and I judge between one another, and I make known to them the statutes of Yahweh's love." Now, of course, the KJV says law, but what Moshe is doing is judging the love of Yahweh between his brothers. Go down to verse 18 of the same chapter. "Both you and these people who are with you will surely wear yourselves out, because this thing is too much for you. You are not able to perform this by yourself." That's what Jethro advised Moses. Moses was the X-man of the interpretation of the love of Yahweh. These commandments were given in love. If you relabel that word, it will give you a better understanding. In other words, it's just like mom saying eat your veggies. Mom says eat your veggies. Now you know that when you're 5 years old, you don't know why you cannot have Captain Crunch Sugar Smacks for dinner. But you know you have to eat your vegetables with your dinner, and you don't know about how it breaks down in the body and how it has vitamins and minerals and nutrients to help keep you healthy and strong and happy and wise. You don't know none of that. If mom was to explain all the details of the breakdown of what the vegetables do for you at 5 years old, you still wouldn't understand it. Even if she broke it down for you. But what she can say out of her mouth, what you need to obey with your ears, is eat your veggies. You don't need to know the details. The details will only confuse you even more. That's all it would do. And this is what this commandment is all about. Because remember, Yahweh never planned on coming. The marriage was supposed to happen right there at Sinai. He didn't come down waiting to stone our ears of 613 commandments. We was fearful and stopped and said, "No, Moshe, don't let him speak no more. You talk to us. You do it." And that's how it went. Remember how you got that 613. Remember how you got it. You didn't get, that was not the plan. The mother never plans on explaining, "No, when I have a baby, I'm going to explain everything that I'm about eating their fruits and veggies and all that stuff." No, eat your vegetables. Ain't nothing else to say. Shut up and eat your vegetables. She ain't got to explain all that. But if you insist on that and she decided to have patience with you, you're still not going to understand it. And to this day, what they call the 3rd of July 2022, Hebrews ain't understanding it. And then the details of, well, yes, there is a right way and wrong way to love. There's a right way and wrong way to eat your vegetables. You can grab a whole handful and just smash them in your mouth. You can smash them with a fork on the plate. You can eat. You can eat one at a time until it's not finished until the morning. Yes, there are many ways to obey your mother and eat your vegetables. There's a right way and wrong way to eat your vegetables. Those are the details. How you would know the right way is by having a relationship with your mother. You see your mother at the table, you see how she eats her vegetables, then you eat the vegetables the way she eats them. You don't take them with two hands and smash them. You don't throw them up in the air and try to catch them with your mouth. This is what Shaul said. Listen, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Yahweh knows the heart. So if you try to do wickedness by saying, hey, I don't have to keep 613, and you're going to try to keep the commandments in your own wicked way, follow the example of the forefathers. Follow their example. Follow the example of your father and your mother. You see how they eat their vegetables, that's the way you do it. You see how Yahweh Shua kept the commandments, that's how you do it. That's the law of liberty. Because the labeling can be confusing. The labeling can be confusing. It's all about how you label it. Whether you're going to label it righteously or unrighteously. You can have a woman, she's at Six Flags, going into one of those stores at Six Flags with a skimpy bathing suit showing everything. But she wear that same thing and go outside of Six Flags and go into a 7-Eleven wearing the same thing. Now she can't wear that out there. Now, because it's labeled a bathing suit. Now put it back in Six Flags, she's fine. But give her something from Victoria's Secret. Give her a bra and panties. Hey, because it's a bra and panties, it's not labeled as a bathing suit. Now she's indecent. But she wasn't indecent showing all her TNA when it was a skimpy bathing suit. But because now it's labeled Victoria's Secret bra and panties, now she's indecent. So what's wickedness? What is the wickedness? The wickedness is in the labeling and is in what's in the heart. What is the actuality, reality of the commandments? What is the reality of the law? What is it trying to demonstrate? Both of those examples are wickedness anyway. It's nakedness and it's profane. So what the Anti-Messiah is going to do is going to offer you a profane labeling of the commandments. The commandments, when you got that 613, was to tell you how to eat the veggies. Not just eat the veggies. He said love your neighbor as yourself, that's eat your veggies. But you want to know how, then you got 613. And everybody's not going to do it right. Matthew 22:34. Matthew 22:30. Your home front all week with you here. Y'all for Christians. Talk about the false Messiah. We're going to get to this. I need to put this latest foundation down about how we approach the law. Matthew 22:34-40. And it reads, but when the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees and they gathered together, then one of them, a lawyer, see, we're talking about a lawyer who knows about parsing words, will give you, when they do an update on your smartphone, they give you 3,000 words about this update for one little change. So you can get lost and not realize that you're giving up all these rights. See, lawyers know about parsing stuff, and they know about the details, and the devil's in the details. So your lawyer asks Yahweh Shua, testing him, it says, you're going to test Yahweh Shua, who is the law. You say, Rabbi, which is the greatest commandment of the law? Now, I just spent 19 minutes of talking, trying to break down the law in various examples. And now let's see what the rabbi himself, Yahweh Shua, says about breaking it down, making it simple for you. Because I spent my life of this ministry trying to make it simple to you. Let's see what Yahweh Shua says out of his mouth to make it simple. You will love Yahweh, your mighty one, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. You will love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. That's what Yahweh Shua said. He said, eat from this tree and don't eat from that tree. Eves. It's that simple. That came out of the mouth of Yahweh. Do you need to have him? Can he get more simpler than that? Can you make it more simple? Let's stay with the same chapter, the same book, and go back to chapter 5. Let's go back to chapter 5 because Yahweh is not finished explaining it to us. 5:43 and 44. And it reads, this is Yahweh talking. You have heard that it was said, you will love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Yahweh break it down for you, telling you, eat your veggies. Eat your veggies. If you know all the details of how to eat your veggies, don't throw up in the air and try to catch it with your mouth and all that stuff. Don't eat one pea at a time, and you're not going to be finished eating all your veggies till the next morning because you took one at a time. Follow him. See how he does it. John. Let's do some more. 1 John 2. 1 Yochanan 2. We're talking about the false Messiah, the false Messiah. 1 John 2, 3 through 5 and 7. Now by this we know that we know him, if we keep his love. Okay, we're going to change that word to love. He who says, I know him, and does not keep his love, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, see, now he changed the word from commandment to word. Truly the love of Yahweh is perfected in him. And by this we know we are in him. This is how you know it. Skip down to verse 7. Brethren, I write no new commandment to you. So don't get nervous. I'm not rewriting the Bible. And I'm not rewriting the Torah. But an old commandment which you have had from the beginning, from the Bereshit, from Genesis. The old commandment is the word which you heard from the Bereshit, from the beginning. The commandment was given to you. That's why I don't like the political correct term of hate crime. What crime is done in love? If they knocked over the tombstones, if they broke into your house, because if they broke in just only the Jewish people's homes, it's not a hate crime, it's a crime. There's no such thing as a crime of love. And the same thing with these commandments. The commandments are commandments of love. They're instructions of love. And Yachani used the word know. The Hebrew word for know means intimacy. Into me see. That means into Yahweh see. You have a relationship, a back and forth with him. That's going to tell you how to keep the law of love, the law of liberty. You know it because you have an intimate relationship with him. Take 10 righteous couples, 10 righteous husband and wives, 10 of them, and they all supposed to be fruitful, multiply. Did Yahweh tell Adam, give him the pictorial about how to do that? Well, he just said, you be fruitful with her. He didn't give no details about how to do it, each thing. Each one of those men is going to approach his wife in a specific, unique way between those two. Without sin, 10 different ways, all of them will be doing something differently, but none of them breaking the commandments. None of them breaking the instructions of love from Yahweh. Stop trying to do the details of the 613, because you can only err. Because if Yahweh gave the exact details of how to do it, then everyone will be sinning every time they touch their wives. Everyone. You know, even the wisest man ever to live, Shlomo said that one of the 4 things he could not understand was how a man approaches a virgin. I'll find that scripture. I'll not find it right now. But I read it this while I was reading it this morning. There is no, if you're a righteous man, a righteous husband, a righteous wife, there is no line-to-line details of how to approach your wife for physical intimacy. That is a mystery between those two and none other. And for these instructions of love with Yahweh Shua, it is an intimacy. It's about knowing. That's what Yachanan said in 1 John 2. He said it's about knowing him. You have to know him. Have an intimate relationship with him. John 13. Let's stick to that same apostle. We go to John 13. Told you. I still might not finish this. John 13. 34 and 35. And it reads, again, y'all wish you were talking just so I can make sure you don't twist my words. I'm going to come from the man's mouth. A new love I give to you, that you love one another, you keep the commandments to one another, as I have kept the commandments to you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciple, if you keep the commandments from one to another. If you love one another. Yahweh Shua said out of his own mouth, the only way that you are marked as one of my disciples is if you love one another. Yahweh Shua said it. He said, eat your veggies. Touch that tree, eat from that tree, do not eat from this tree. The same thing presented to Adam and Eve. It's that simple. This or that. Like Baba Black Sheep said. I think you get with this because this is where it's at. It's very fat. This is where it is. This is where it is. John. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke 10 and 25. Let's go to Luke 10, 25 through 36. Because we're going to really make this plain by an example. Because we're talking about the deception of the anti-Messiah and then how he's going to have an anti-Messiah. So let's give you an example of this thing of law. I talked last week about bait, right? About bait, how you bait a fish. So I'm going to make the connection. Hang in there. Luke 10, 25 through 36. I wasn't even going to read this until this morning. I decided to go ahead and read this. I just decided this morning because I want to give you a good example from the mouth of Yahshua. And look, a certain lawyer, once again a lawyer who knows all the law. So this is an expert of this topic I'm speaking. A lawyer stood up and tested Yahweh Shua saying, Rabbi, what will I do to inherit eternal life? See, he's testing Yahweh Shua, who is the law. This is what Yahweh Shua said. What is written in the law? What is written in the Torah? What is your reading of it? So he answered and said, well, love Yahweh with all your heart, might, and your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Yahweh Shua says, you have answered rightly. Do this and you will live. Do this. It's that simple. Eat from this tree, don't eat from that one. But guess what? We're going to, Yahweh Shua wants to make it even plainer just in case you still get that one thing wrong. He's going to give you an example. Just in case you get that one thing wrong, which is going to deceive the whole world in these last days. Here it is. Then Yahshua said, a certain man went down from the Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who would strip him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down the road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. So first, a priest. This is no joke coming up. This is real. A priest who knows the law, who operates in the law, okay, who adjudicates the law, and he walks by the man. Now, next, likewise a Levite who was set aside specifically to do the works and the jobs of the temple and the law. A Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. So we got a priest and a Levite. If you ever want to know anything about the law, that's who you would go to. A priest and or a Levite. And would you follow their example? Let's hear what Yahweh Shua has to say. And a certain Samaritan, this is a Joe Blow like you and me, regular Joe Blow, don't know hardly jack. A certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went up to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. And when he said to him, take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come again, I will repay you. Then Yahushua gives him a test. So, which of these 3 do you think was neighbor to him, who fell among the thieves? And we know the answer. It wasn't the priest. It wasn't the Levite. It was the regular Joe Blow who exercised the compassion that was asked in the beginning of this narrative, which is the great commandment. Of the 3, the only one that kept the commandments, eat from this tree, don't eat from that one, was the Samaritan. That was the one. He kept the whole law, the entirety of the law. The Samaritan, this is what Yahushua said himself out of his mouth. So when I say what I'm going to say, don't lambaste me, because I'm in good company with Yahushua about this law. And your preacher's not preaching it right. I'm in good company. I haven't gotten to the bind yet. I'm setting you up to understand what the law is. And I might not even finish it there, but you're going to get the bind. So, let's stick to our brother Yakanan. Let's go to 1 John again. Let's go back to 1 John, because I'm trying to make this clear. We know the law is love. We know the law is instructions. We know Yahushua is love. We know Yahushua is the law. And we know the law is summed up in eat from this one and don't eat from that one. Love Yahweh and love his image, which is man made after his image. Love your neighbor as yourself. So we got that clear. I hope you're getting that clear. 1 John 2:18. And then I'm going to read 19 and 22. 1 John 2:18. Little children, it is the last hour, and as you have heard, that the anti-Messiah is coming. Even now, many anti-Messiahs have come, by which we know this is the last hour. They went out from us, but they were not of us. If they had been of us, they would have continued with us. But they went out that they might be made manifest that none of them were of us. Go down to verse 22. Who is a shaker? Who is a liar? But he who denies that Yahushua HaMashiach is the Messiah, he is the anti-Messiah who denies the Father and the Son. The Ab Wa Bain, Father and Son. Like I told you many times before, each of us, each generation is faced with anti-messiahs. They have always come with each generation. And each generation has this apocalyptic age. Matter of fact, Yahushua said in Matthew 24:34, he's saying that this generation will not pass till all of these signs have happened. Well, they happened and we're still living. So what he was saying is each generation will have its apocalyptic age. Each generation has to be ready to receive the Messiah. Each generation has anti-messiahs that's going to come to deceive them. And we're in our generation now of anti-messiahs, and we're in our generation now of an apocalyptic age. Each generation. And the anti-messiah comes from amongst the Hebrews. He says it right here. They were one of us. But they exposed themselves when they denied Ab Wa Bain, the Father and the Son. One thing that the anti-messiah can't do, he can present you with the law, but he cannot call on the name of Yahushua. He cannot connect it to Yahushua. He cannot put the two together. He cannot connect the two sticks of Yahushua and the law together. He cannot do it. What he does is, here it is. He gives you the law bait without Yahushua. I just thought I'll stop by here and give you that wisdom. Wisdom just hit your ears. Because that's what it is. The bait of the law that's going to hook everybody who is waking up in this increase of knowledge that Yahushua prophesied about. Remember, the increase of knowledge has nothing to do with technology. It's all about the knowledge of Him increasing. that's going to be dangled by the anti-Messiah is going to be improper keeping of the law. He's going to be killed by the anti-Messiah, so it looks like he is the Messiah by killing the anti-Messiah. And he's going to offer a more complete way of keeping the law. And who's not going to fall for it? You got all your black Hebrew Israelites and all that stuff. You got the Jews for Jesus. You got all the Christians, they kumbaya, the Catholics, Christians, Allah, everybody's coming together. Everybody knows that the law is beautiful. But the law, remember, the whole thing about beasts has nothing to do with looks. Daniel and Revelations, they all are calling this government a beast because it is a gross misrepresentation of what it purports to be. It purports to be a righteous system of government. All of these horns and all of these animals and all of these beasts all purport to be righteous representations of a Kodesh government, Kodesh laws, a Kodesh way of living. But it is not. That's what the beast means. Oh, our Yahweh, please let them understand. Let them understand, Yahweh. Let this ministry grow and abound. They are hearing things they're not hearing from anywhere else, even from their Hebrew pulpits. Beast has nothing to do with looks. It has everything to do about a gross misrepresentation of what it purports to be, which is the beauty of the law of Yahweh Shua. What the anti-Messiah and the anti-Messiah is going to offer you is the law sans Yahweh Shua. That means without Yahweh Shua. And there's no law, there's no Torah without Yahweh Shua. He says in all the volume of the book, it speaks of me. He told the area of Rav, he told the Edomites that you search the scriptures because in them you think you got eternal life. Realize it all speaks of me. If you try to do this apart from me without knowing me, which means, remember, Hebrew knowing means intimacy. Into me see. Into Yahweh Shua see. There is no keeping of there's no love outside of me. Love sustains all of reality. The quarks, the protons, neutrons, atoms. Love holds it all together. The law of love, the Torah of the instructions of love of the law is Yahweh Shua. It's that simple. This tree or that one. Eat your veggies. Stop asking about all the details. Because you're only going to choke yourself. It's beyond you. You know the thing about 613? You know another self-righteous and abomination of the 613 is that you're limiting Yahweh. You're saying there's only 613 ways of pleasing Him. That if you get to that 613th one, you have completed your righteousness. There's no more. So even that alone, and I'm going to give you some deep stuff. I'm even this number 666. Based on what I'm reading now, studying, there's actually 666 commandments. Yes. So we're going to get into that. I want to put that in stone yet. But another blasphemy about this 613 is that you are limiting Yahweh. That you done that, then He is totally pleased with you, and you have a right to be there with Him forever because you deserve it. Your resume, your resume says 613, and that's the limit of Yahweh. So that's another reason why you want to get off of that. Yahweh Shua says it hangs on all of it hangs on two things. Love Yahweh and love the image of Yahweh. Remember this whole thing about the mark of the beast is loving His image. And His image is going to be the 613. And His mark is going to be the Tau mark that was put on Cain. The last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Tau. The number one symbol on all the gravestones in the world. The cross. The number one symbol of Christian doctrine. The cross. That's the letter Tau. The mark of the beast. And the number and His image is the false representation, the beastly representation of the law. Wow. Don't you think you need to support this ministry? Don't you think you need to tune in? Don't you think you need to share this? Spread this word? I got 42 followers. 42? But there's only a remnant that's going to get this. Only a remnant. Now, the whole thing about this bait, because if you want to, what makes a bait works, it has to match what you're trying to catch. You can't put out a barrel of apples and try to catch a tiger. You got to put some bloody steaks out there, and then the tiger will come up to the trap. But some nice fresh apples ain't going to do it. But what is going to get the Hebrew? The bait is the law. Everybody calls themselves the law abiding. Everybody's wearing the seats. Everybody's trying to grow beards down to the ground. And no one's saying that we know the law is beautiful. So the devil's going to hang out his anti-Messiah. He's going to hang it out there, that bait, to catch everyone now who the Torah movement is growing by leaps and bounds. And that is the bait to catch you. Not realizing that it is a beastly bait because it is a gross misrepresentation of the love of Yahweh Shua. Matthew 24:44. I read from Matthew. I want to read it again, specifically because Yahweh Shua is talking about deception. And the thing that causes us to be so caught up in deception is our eyeballs. But we know our faith is increased by our hearing. So you don't want to use your eyeballs, which are set up for deception, when you want to use your ears, which increases your faith in the voice of Yahweh. Once again, quoting Yahweh Shua himself, who we think he knows what he's talking about, don't we? For false messiahs and false prophets will rise and show you great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. He's going to show signs and wonders for deception. So your eyeballs are going to see signs and wonders. But he says, if you keep on reading, there is no sign and wonder to prove who the Messiah is. The only sign was already given. He said, like Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so the Son of Man will be in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. It has already happened. So if your eyeballs are trying to look to discern stuff, you have already been hooked on the bait of the commandments of with the signs and wonders that the devil's going to show from heaven and from the temple that's being built. And you're going to look just like you saw the Raiders of the Lost Ark. The beauty of the law is going to catch your eyeballs and hook you for deception. There is no sign. Have a relationship with Yahweh Shua, know him, into him see, intimacy with him, and shema his voice like a good sheep listening to his shepherd. Use your ears to keep you from deception. Hear me. Do not fall for signs and wonders like you see in the churches, the holy oil, and the smacking people in the head and knocking them down and seizing and writhing. Signs and wonders. You're going to see moons and stars and things, all kinds of things in the heavens, sent for those who are using their eyeballs instead of their ears. And this is why today, this ministry is called Yahweh for Christians, but because the bait is set for Hebrews, I now can retitle this Yahweh for Hebrews. Because the Hebrew is the one that's set up. The ones who call themselves keeping the law is set up for failure. But the Christians need today to keep themselves from falling and deceiving is they need to love truth. That's the beginning of not being deceived. 2 Thessalonians 9. 2 Thessalonians 9 and 10. And it reads, not because we do not have authority, The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. I hope you're hearing the clarity of how I'm saying this based on the book. It's not my opinion. Lawless is loveless. I've already set the foundation that the law is love, and that love is Yahweh. Yahweh is the Torah. Torah is instructions. It's all of the same. And so you don't love Yahweh and love your neighbors yourself, you are lawless. And those who are lawless are set up for deception. How? By signs and wonders. What are those signs and wonders going to come from? The Ark of the Covenant, the third temple being built. Y'all, Hasatan has got to make it just as good, look as good as the original. The same thing you saw in Cecil B. DeMille's movie, The Ten Commandments, with Charlton Heston. He's going to have this Charlton Heston, his false prophet. He's going to have him with the 2 tablets of stones, which Yahweh has buried. Those 2 tablets of commandments are now tombstones. They're not commandments, tablets of commandments. They are tombstones. And to this day, 2,000 years later, black Hebrew Israelites and Jews for Jesus and all Christians, everybody's trying to dig up Moses. Dig up those tombstones. You're taking up the tombstones. Yahweh buried it, and who are you to try to open a door that he has closed? He sent you, he buried his arm in his son Yahweh. He gave you his law and his son. He says, know him, hear him, because in him I am very pleased. And if I recall, the only time Yahweh speaks in the entire Brit Hadashah, the entire New Testament, is right what I just quoted to you. This is my son in whom I am well pleased. Hear him. That's the only time Yahweh speaks that I can recall in the entire New Testament, as you call it. He says, Shema, my son. Hear him. And his son said to love him, to do unto others you have to do unto yourself, and love himself. That is commandments. You can't be deceived. And today, for you Christians, you must love truth. The truth is there is no salvation in Jesus. The truth is the name is a Hebrew name. It's a Hebrew man from Hebrew parents in a Hebrew city, from a Hebrew country, from a Hebrew nationality. And for you Hebrews, you have waken up out of your stupor, your slumber of disobedience, and now you're roaring like a lion with no teeth, thinking you know everything about the law. You need to shut up and sit down. You just woke up. You're still stumbling about. You're not coherent. You don't know the law. But you're going to blast a white man, blast a Jew man, way ahead of you about the law. Way ahead of you. What you need to be is fall in love when you wake up. Fall in love with Yahweh for waking you up. And in loving him, look in the mirror and love yourself. And in loving yourself, you're going to love your neighbor across the street just like you love yourself. And you are ahead of everyone else in keeping the law. You're already there and you cannot be deceived. Because you heard his voice, he woke you up, and now you are just in love. You don't know what love is unless you love the Yahweh. You don't know what love is. You don't know what the law is. If you don't know what love is, you don't know. Oh, I wish they would just shut up. I see them on social media every day. Just shut up. Know nothing. You just woke up around 2016. The best in you 2010. The sages in 2006. You got a smartphone and then you started learning. That's what happened. Now, Genesis, let's go back to the beginning. Genesis 4, 3 and 5. Genesis 4, your whole time we were here laying it down. Laying it down. by Ruach HaKodesh, from a man who's got 2 scores into this. Genesis 4, 3 and 5. Because way back from the beginning, before there was any law about killing anything, Adam and Eve knew. If you go to the suppressed books, you see how many times that Adam and Eve tried to sacrifice their own lives and shared their own blood because of their sins. But Yahweh says you can't do it. You cannot do it. Because as I've taught you, we were not created with blood. They tried to give this blood that they got from the tree of good and evil, because in the fruit was the blood of Yahweh. They tried to give it back to Yahweh. They could not give their blood, because Yahweh says your life is in the blood. You can't give me your blood, then you'll die right there. You cannot do it. So we have always known from the beginning that it was about the blood for reconciliation. Then Yahweh sure came to us and he shed his blood for our stead. He did it. He said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Wouldn't you rather try to do 2 things right instead of 613? Isn't that a better thing? Who has the hardest job? The father of the house or his 7-year-old son who has his duties? Would the 7-year-old son would have tried to do daddy's job? Get dressed and drive a car and go to work? No, he let him just do his little job. Just try to keep his room neat. Just try to do your little homework. Just try to help mommy dry the dishes. Why are you going to try to go to work like daddy? Why not just go ahead and keep 2 commandments instead of trying to keep 613? Yisrael. He said my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Wow. Why is it so hard to understand? Genesis 4, 3 and 5. Yahweh knows the heart. The whole thing about this false prophet and the false prophet all centers around false worship and false sacrifices that look good. And we got it from the very beginning. Everything comes from the very beginning. Genesis 4, 3 and 5. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yahweh. Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And Yahweh respected Abel's offering, but he did not respect Cain and his offering. And Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. Looks good out the front. Cain gave an offering. He gave an offering, but it did not point to Yahweh Shua. It did not point to the salvation. And Yahweh knows the heart. They didn't have any commandments written down for them to do. They had nothing, but they knew that they knew what their father told them, that he tried to sacrifice his own blood and Yahweh wouldn't take it. So Abel took it to heart. He said, you know what? I'm going to sacrifice one of my lambs then. Cain didn't take it to heart. And Yahweh didn't accept that sacrifice. Though they both, you and I, we were there back then, not here now, we know everything. We would have said, what was wrong? And that's what's going to happen in this last day. When the false Messiah sets up improper sacrifices, that's the false Messiah will be like Cain. And then the false Messiah is going to try to mimic Abel. And he's going to reinstitute the sacrifices in what will be the correct way. But it's not correct anymore, because we are not to be slaying animals today. We're supposed to accept Yahweh Shua. So the false Messiah is going to be like offering the grain offerings and the fruits and vegetables. Then the false Messiah is going to offer blood offering. But the real Messiah is what we need to be waiting for, because none of these offerings are right. Remember, don't accept false arguments. How are the people going to be deceived is accepting a false argument. It's like the argument of safe sex. A righteous father and a righteous mother ain't teaching their children no safe sex. That's liberal politics. That's the world. The only safe sex is no sex. I don't care how you grew up, how you did. Yeah, you messed up, so you want to try to teach them back. Oh, use a condom and do that. That is not in the Bible. Using no condom. What's in the Bible is no fornication. That's what's in the Bible. So the child will be taught that. Not Safe sex? That's a false argument. Jesus is black. That's a false argument. Who cares about what color Jesus is? Y'all be sure ain't no Jesus. The creator of heaven and earth was not called Jesus. So don't get no debates with anybody about the color of Jesus. Who gives a damn about what color Jesus is? Who cares? That's a false argument. Voting. Y'all says don't set nobody over you who doesn't believe what you believe. You don't supposed to be out there voting. That's a false argument about Democrat, Republican, black, white, male, female. That's a false argument. Do not get baited into false arguments. Black lives matter. Well, what life doesn't matter? You tell me. Jews' lives don't matter? Spanish lives don't matter? Female lives don't matter? Children's, black lives matter, but an unborn fetus life don't matter. Is that what you're telling me? So an 8-month-old baby in the womb still can be murdered. That life don't matter, but black lives matter. Do not get sucked into false arguments. And that is what's going to deceive people in this last day with the false Messiah. Getting you sucked into the argument of the law. So it's going to have to be a part 3. It's going to have to be a part 3 because I see my time is down. And we're going to finish this up, hopefully. But to just surmise it, the abomination that makes desolate waste. Once again, look at one of my favorite movies of all time, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and see what happened when they lifted that ark up. And see what it did and how it laid waste. The only time that we forget Yahweh for Christians, Shalom Aleichem. Oh, I got some seconds, man? I put Chris on the spot. But let me tell you real quick while he's doing that. He gave me a good story about someone who had a personalized painted car and she did damage to it. That's not doing to others if you have them doing to you. That is not love. That's what I'm trying to show here. The proper way of keeping the commandments is to do it to others if you have them doing to you. Would she have done that? Had someone do that to her car? No. So don't do it. Whatever you want somebody to do to you, that's what you do to them. That's a commandment. So next week we're going to continue with this. Shalom Aleichem. Peace be on you.